I remember coming here for the first time, and I was jealous. Everyone was family, brothers, sisters, cousins. I didn't know it at the time, but I too was a part of that family. There's something different about Overtown. It opened on May 7, 1966 as a 250-unit housing project long before me, but growing up here make you feel as old as your grandparents. I ran into Sadell Ross, born and raised in Uniacke Square. He comes from that OG era. Just a fellow whose strength lies in community. This community, the Square. Welcome back to Generations, Black Memories in Nova Scotia. We're in the Square, my old stomping ground. A lot of artists, a lot of street legends, but no one's talking about the community legends. This guy, I'd say fits that description. We go back like chiroprac, so I'm happy he's down to sit with me and chop it up. Always someone I looked up to. What's up, cuz?
What's up, my man?
How are you?
Great.
Man, I was just thinking about, like when I first came to Uniacke Square. Mm-hmm. And how different it is now compared to then.
Yeah.
And like I remember coming from Spryfield when I was around 8 and coming to the Square and just like, it was a culture shock, honestly. Right. It was like, coming from Spryfield, it was mixed, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Family, everybody knew each other. Same thing here, but it was just like, I just wasn't used to seeing so many black people.
No, true. You're not lying. You're not lying.
I was not used to it. So like, and I remember coming through and like, just like, everything was dark, right? But, mm-hmm. you know, and you were there for a while, so like how was it like for you when you were like growing up in Uniacke Square? Like, were you born in Halifax?
Yeah, born in Halifax. From what I can remember, Uniacke's all I knew before we moved a little bit later on. But what I can remember is the George Dixon Field, community-wide baseball, community leaders like Eddie Johnson. Just running through all the lanes, you know, this person's mother telling you, behave yourself, or I'll go tell your mother, you know, that community kind of upbringing.
A lot of those memories are getting lost.
Yeah.
And if we like don't really truly start, you know, having conversations about it, because I bring it back to when I was having this conversation with an older fella.
Right.
Nolan
Okay,
Carvery.
Yep.
And he was like, man, I don't really talk to a lot of people. I don't really get a chance to talk to a lot of people to keep my wits about me.
Set them straight. That's what I was saying about, like, you were running into like a community member and, you know, hey, I heard what happened with you. I'm doing that right now with a couple of young men, but, you know, hey, I heard what happened here, you know, you might want to switch this and this up, you know what I mean? Just set you straight in that way. But in a way where you're not going to get offended, you're not going to look at them like, well, who you talking to? It's like, oh, this is so-and-so talking to me. He was good to me since I was a little boy. Listen to understand, not to reply.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that is embedded in me through a lot of the men I brought up, because like even the newcomer kids that we have here, you know, I'm on their behinds about those same kind of values. You know what I mean? Like, I heard what happened at school. Now you're at the library here today, you know, let's talk about it.
What can you really remember about, like, paint us a picture of what Uniacke Square looked like when you were growing up?
One of my best friends lived on the end right there, and we would just hang out right here on the steps, just sitting here, teenagers sitting around, just looking for something new to do, man, and like what girl we were crushing on, or if we can get her number, or if she's got any friends. Ryan Bundy was always here playing with his toys. You know, I come running up here.
That's where Squizzy used to live too.
Yeah, yeah. And before they built, like, there used to be stairs here, smaller stairs, but this was never here. Like, they only kind of built this pathway because it was always a dirt path from people just walking through here anyways, right?
Yeah.
So, in the baseball field right down here, and like, for me, this was my getaway. This was heaven right here. There's not one face you didn't know. You know what I mean? And like the kids that lived in the co-op were always over here too, but some of them weren't allowed in the neighborhood over here.
Yeah.
There were some co-op kids that could only play in the playground and kind of like, and you would always see one or two of their parents either up at the top here or over at the corner of the Dixon, making sure they didn't see their kids sneaking up into the neighborhood over here, right?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, some of us were badass little kids. And I don't say badass kids, we were just some kids who were just very mischievous, very adventurous.
Yeah.
And had no problem experimenting whether or not I'm gonna get in trouble. You better pick up the phone. What's up, Kazi? We would come right out of here. And before Hope Blooms was even here or anything like that, there was a big playground there. It was swings, monkey bars.
Monkey bars, everybody used to be working out there. AJ Reddick used to be down there.
So when they tore that down, I took a piece of the wood. I got a piece of the wood somewhere at home of the playground there. And like I said, we used to start an obstacle course right from here, me and 3 other kids, but you know, Ryan never got a chance to like finish the race that day because like I said, the bus didn't see him, man. Yeah. And like I said, during that era, a lot of kids were getting hit by cars and stuff, man. And like we talked about earlier, like, you know, a lot of heartbreak had to happen before things got done right around here for certain things, man. The moment you can stare at yourself more than 10 seconds in the mirror and not get uncomfortable, you're doing something right for yourself. You know what I mean? And that's the driving force for me when I get up every day, bro. And I don't know how many conversations me and you've had about self-progression and like mentorship and like I said, being that person that we always needed kind of thing, and how is that translating to where I'm going at in my life, or how I'm trying to, you know, build the next generation. What am I building them off of on top of that? Am I building them off of BS knowledge that I was given? Or am I giving them a serious map on like, here, this is how you navigate it, bro. It may not work for you on this left-hand turn, but at least you know that left-hand turn got a pothole there, and I told you about it. I tell a lot of guys, you're not defined by your worst mistake. Even though we are kind of shamed for it, like we're going to be defined by it, but it's up to you to know that, hey, I can make that change. But it's also up to us to let that guy know, here, this is what you should know. Because that's what the game really is. Like, just bring the next one along, bro. You know?
Yeah, we should, regardless of how big it is, like we should be allowed to make mistakes, but also learn from them.
Yeah, man.
And like have someone like, you know, instill that in us that, you know, you gotta make mistakes. Yeah, it was, you're bad for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna, like, hold you accountable and kind of like let you know what the ripple effect of that thing was, but like, you know, that doesn't define you.
But that's key though, letting them know the ripple effect. Cause like I said, when I did that to my uncle at one point, man, I remember my mom said to me, you know, she said it to me in a different way. She's like, you're ripping your uncle off. And I was like, woo. And that hit me even harder. I was like, okay, I need to hear it like that in order for it to sink in. I know what I did was wrong, but the way my mother gave it to me, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, I'm never doing that to my family again, especially in that way. And I had a little slips-ups along the way because I realized how much that was second nature to me.
Yeah.
Because of the environment, you know what I mean? Because my mom said to me, she's like, you know what, Sadal? A lot of these guys think being gangster and doing all this is cool, but what we should have told some of you young guys was that we only do this because we're trying to get out of our situation, right? We made it seem cool, but we didn't tell you guys, like, this ain't cool, we make it look. We're only trying to be this way right now because we're trying to come to grips with who we're becoming in this world, within that environment, you know what I mean? So when she's like, we didn't teach you guys that it's not always cool to be this way. So that new generation that came up thought that doing this was the right way of being, but not seeing the ripple effect of, like I said, how it had on older heads in the community to feel like they lost the essence of their community. The ripple effect is crazy. As soon as you start putting labels to it and understanding this is what it is, it will change anyone's mentality for what they're doing in their community, man. Like, it's something that everyone has to do, self-reflection, man. You have to get in deep. You have to do the work. What we're trying to do at work is create a triangle of support. Like, where we're at the library and the kids will go to the Y or the Dixon, right? So, like, my thing is, like, if you act up at school, you're not gonna come down to the library and think that you're gonna continue this behavior. I'm in great rapport with the schools and stuff like that, so they'll call me and tell me. So as soon as you walk through that door, I'm on your behind.
Yeah.
Like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And some of them, it needs a lot more attention, because some of them are saying, like, they got some serious goals. Like, I asked one of the principals told me, she's like, one guy said he wants to be in the NBA. I was like, okay, by default. And she's like, but, she said, what's your backup plan? He says, I want to help men that have been wrongly convicted of crimes. Woo. And this is someone, we'll talk on camera about this. I don't want to drop his name, but this is someone you'd be like, what, he said that?
Yeah.
Right? And then it hit me, I was just like, you know how many times, like, he probably heard about the George Floyd incident and other incidents where, you know, police brutalities came into play, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, other situations where men have been wrongly convicted of stuff. You know what I mean? Because of how your brown skin can actually play on you. You know what I mean? By default, you're already this, and this, and this, and this. You know what I'm saying? And my thing was like, if he's talking like that, where can we harness it?
Yes,
because I never heard this little boy ever say anything like that to me about it, right? Or other people. This was something new that he was able to say to someone he always bumped heads with all the time. But he's at a point in his life where he's starting to grow and he's able to express his interest a little bit more, right? And that's where I'm like, okay, we gotta dig our hooks into him. The crew is out.
The crew is out.
And there's just some kids in here, bro, they just got a special place because of who their fathers were.
Yes.
And then they lose their fathers, and we see the play it has on a kid's day-to-day, the day-to-day life, you know what I mean? And like, we were all one step, bro, you know what I mean? We were all one step running around. Like I said, it took a whole village, a whole community to help raise me. I couldn't be over here acting up without them guys finding over in the next lane. Just say like Miss Wilson, another one, beautiful soul. Miss Wilson's been here. Miss Wilson. Yes, been here for years too. You know, like she was walking by up here for her walk to see me down here acting up. I knew to run home quick to tell them, because I knew she was telling them. You know what I mean? So there was no hiding nothing, right? So you miss those things. You miss that blanket of protection and love. Like I said, like I'm waiting for my grandfather's car still to this day to drive down the street. That gold Cobalt he was driving before he passed, and just that car was a signal of, okay, there's the man, but let me be on my 10 toes down because he's coming. Like you said, when certain people say something to you, kind of, or your nephew, you know what I mean? You can see like there's no, because he respects you. There's difference, right? When young men respect older men, you don't have to really discipline too much besides this is what you need to do and try to implement it next time. If not, take them right by the hand and show them the feeling of it. Like the same way a man would put money in a young guy's hand just to feel what money feels like. Maybe that's all some kids need to be business orientated, is just to feel money. Or, you know what I mean? It's just all it takes is someone just to feel the lesson a lot more than being told it, right? And then it just kind of takes place after that, man. And this is where we get, you know, people like me and you from. You know what I mean? Those kind of things, man, and just sitting here on this bench right now talking about what we're talking about. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just brings things around full circle, bro. And I just sit back here and watch some days, man, and I just don't even say nothing. I'm like, now I'm the old man sitting here watching. I'll tell your mother. I'll tell your mother. And that's what I am now.
Don't be acting up because I know who your mother is.
That's my line at the library. I know what your mother expects of you here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. We talk, like, and a lot of them, like, half the kids down there right now, they're like, you know my mom? I said, I grew up with your mother. So our relationship is different than your average person, right? So, you know, it just creates that closeness and that dynamic that you know that you want to have with one another, right? Especially the community, right?
Man, is that Squizzy?
I told you that looks like him. I told you that must be him. Remember I said that yesterday?
Squizzy! That ain't Squizzy. That is not Squizzy.
Man. Is that him?
Is it? Come here, man! What are you doing?
You see what I'm saying, man? I told you I knew that was him the other day. I swear, the jawline, come on, cuz, come on.
No, what are you talking? Hold on. Do you recall like any like figures in your family that your family would like talk about, or like where did you have a good sense of your family like history and lineage when you were growing up?
To a certain point, because I know with some parts of my family, you know, some things got in the way, like how can I put this? Addiction. So, you know, some people born with broken hearts, you know what I mean? So you lose out. Like for me, like I have a indigenous background that I don't know too much about because of, you know, addictions getting in the way and all that stuff, right? You know what I mean? But for the most part, my grandmother always pointed out key figures in her heart that were big for her. Like, you know, we talk about Africville, and we talk about Deborah Dixon, you talk about Ardith Pye, Linda Manley, and my grandmother herself, Brenda Steve Ross. You know, she talks about some, you know, some history though, but a lot of it's pain. So I know a lot of them don't like to dig too deep into it, right? And
yeah, a lot of trauma back then.
Yes, this is what I'm saying, right? And you know, it only goes so far because of that, you know. But
that seems like a theme.
Yeah.
Because
well, we're breaking generational curses.
That's
now,
right. Yep.
So we're trying to heal through all that at the same time. So it's gonna take some time, right? But yeah, we would, but it would only go so far, and then we'd have to do our own research to understand why it only goes so far, you know? Man, a lot of us are a lot more cultured than we think we are, you know what I mean? And it's just, it hurts when I see how people are so ignorant to the fact that, like, man, you got some deep roots, bro. Go dig in there, man, and come be enriched in it, right? And, you know, like straighten that crown out so you can understand that you are a king in your own way. Yeah. Just, you know, you're not seeing it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, but my thing is like when I used to sit there and look at the families like that and see the certain different things they had, I was like, I got Africville. That's what I would fall back on. Okay, I got Africville. You know what I mean? That's my family lineage. You know what I mean? Like my grandmother and my two aunts starting the reunion, and, you know, like Aunt Deborah Dixon and Aunt Linda Mantley and Ardith Pye. And my grandmother, you know, just being front runners in, you know, keeping that history alive, you know. So I'm proud to walk in their footsteps. I don't feel any kind of shadow being casted over me. I just said I'm standing on top of the shoulder of other giants now. Not just feeling like, you know, I can never compete with that, because no, they're telling you, take my hand and come up on my shoulder. Not the crab in the bucket effect like we have in our community where everyone's trying to scrape and claw to survive. No, stand on my shoulders, and this is how we become giants, through me and through you and through the next, right?
Because you broke that analogy down to me, man, and I keep it with me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like how do we create giants? It's
yeah.
Like you put someone else on your
shoulders. Yeah, you lose your ego, bro.
Yeah.
The hardest thing in the world is being that person you always needed. And that's what I think where some people cannot not become giants at, because of that ego. You got people that have been living here for 40 years that have paid, like they should be owning some of these places, you know what I mean? Because they paid the mortgage off, or they paid rent for 30 years. This place has been owned. For that, you know what I mean? For someone that's been here for 30 years, you should at least give them the option, would you like to own this?
Yeah, of
You know
course.
what I mean? That's always been the thing in here, because a lot of people knew ownership before they even got up here. Like people from Africville and stuff, they own their places, they own their property, right? So to come up here and live in a place where, like, you know, you pay rent here and you deal with the maintenance and all the stuff when we want to do it, we're used to taking care of our own. We're used to taking care of our, you know what I mean, with no help because of how things were during them times, right? So that's a big reason why you see that stuff get passed over through generation and generation of we take care of our own. We taught ourselves how to win and lose. We taught ourselves how to, you know, break through adversity on our own, right? It wasn't always the healthiest form, but it was very much needed for what we all were looking for from either that key community figure or what we were getting from our group. You know what I mean? And I think like a lot of people miss out on having group friendships like that, because like people don't realize that's your social circle, bro. You know what I mean? And the more you strengthen that with chemistry and love and support, man, you just go to next levels on things that you don't even realize you're leveling up on. Tell them, you gotta throw dirt on anything to make it grow. You know what I mean? And if you guys ain't willing to do that, you're gonna be the same little stick stuck in that one spot until you really, really wanna figure out, okay, do you wanna learn something new or not? You know what I mean? And I just feel like for me, like I have an obligation to make sure that the people that come to our community understand what our community is all about. And like I spoke on a couple panels about like what is the North End, but what does Uniacke, this community mean to me? And it's just love, support, and memories. You know what I mean? And obviously pain, struggle, and a lot of other things mixed into that, right? But we always take something ugly and turn it into something beautiful, right?
You better believe
and
that.
that's how we've been raised to do, right? You know, you have special people around you to help create attachments to love. And I think that's the one thing me and you talk about the most is being able to express it as men to one another so we can figure out what is it really all about to be a part of the community, man, and just help it progress even more, man.
As our older generations are getting sent for and moving on, it's going to take giants to continue to keep our communities. It's going to take work to get us back to caring and helping one another. But if there's one place that showed me how to do that and gave me the courage to step outside of that box, it was here.
But I love what we're turning into. I'm scared about what it might look like if we don't do the work that's necessary.
Exactly. Cause you ready to go for a walk?
Always. You know me, always.
Oh yeah. Let's go down the hood. I got some nicknames. I'm so curious to find out what nicknames you grew up with.
Oh, I'll give you a family one. I'll give you a good family one though. Like my grandfather, he looked at you and he thought of a name, bro.
Yeah.
That was your name, right? So he would call me Gampy. It was Gampy, right? And like Cunny. Cunny's name comes from my grandfather. Like if he looked at you and he thought of a name, bro.
Love you, man.
Love you too. Oh, man. What a beautiful day.